In the scriptures, Jesus was asked a question quite frequently. Where, what, when is the kingdom of God going to be here? It was something that the people had been waiting on for a long time. And he often described the kingdom in terms of parables. It was rare that he gave a direct answer to that question. He would say, it's like this and it's like that. Except a passage in both Luke and Thomas where Jesus tells them directly, the kingdom is at hand. It is here. It is within you. The way back to the Garden of Eden, which was the kingdom in the beginning of creation, is through the heart, and it is through that path within you. And it happens when our hearts are fully opened. As we continue to explore what it means to live untethered, based on the book by Michael Singer, we've established over the last couple of weeks that there is a you that is independent of your physical body, a you that is independent of your thoughts, independent of your emotions. It is the you that's eternal within you. We would, in unity, call it that Christ essence that's within you. Some would call it the divine. Whatever you call it, it is the eternal part of you that's having the experience of a body and thoughts and emotions. And it is that you that has come into this human experience to live, to learn to live from an open heart, from a Christed heart. The challenge is that there's also a personal self, a personal mind, as he calls it, whose job it is, evolved to be, to keep us safe while we're walking this human journey. And it does a good job, and it is, evolved over many, many, many eons to know how to keep us physically safe. Less and less often do human beings in general find themselves in a dangerous situation, far less than it was when Jesus walked on this earth, and you never knew when your last day in this physical body was going to be. And yet, this personal mind has trouble distinguishing between physical danger and emotional danger. The pain that comes when we are wounded by something that someone else says or does. The pain that comes when we begin to experience ourselves as alone and not part of this whole human race, when we feel isolated or separated or different than other people. And we begin to develop our own unique preferences, and I really think that they're demands, because a preference says, I'm okay either way, but a demand says, in order for me to be okay, life needs to look this way. And all of these ways in which we've distinguished within us, the personal mind says, this is safe, and it's safe because it feels good. This is not safe because it doesn't feel so good. They all get stored in what we call our subconscious mind. They never really go away unless we, through conscious choice, release them, allow them to be updated with a new set of preferences. Most of us, instead of exploring why we want things a certain way in order to feel okay, or being focused on how we can update those old subconscious beliefs that we took on with some new information that we've been able to gather in our own spiritual walk. Instead of doing that, we spend all our energy trying to satisfy this inner barometer that tells us whether we're okay or not. Oftentimes, we think it's going to be something that's going to happen to us or for us. I'll be okay. I'll feel better when I get that new job. Or have this new home that I want, or a car, or the relationships that will surround me, that will support and love me. When those things no longer work, even once we acquire them, they tend to wear off. Their ability to keep us in that happy internal state tends to diminish with time, and then we're on to the next thing, whatever that might be, that is going to help satisfy that. And there always seems to be a next time, at least that's in my experience. Even when I've acquired the things that I thought 20 years ago would make me happy today, they don't have that same staying power to keep that inner state in that place of calm, in that place of happiness, if we want to describe it that way. You know, I think this often explains why people who have amassed great wealth and things and even relationships in their life oftentimes end up more depressed, more disillusioned with life because they've gotten everything that they ever wanted. They can buy anything they ever wanted, and still there's that sense of not enough and not being okay within. They're not the things that have the power to bring us lasting peace and expansive love. And the foundational choice that we have in life, that each of us have in life, is either to constantly try and control our life, make our life okay, whatever that looks like for us, or to devote our lives to releasing the things that shut down our heart, to releasing the things, rather than trying to satisfy the things that we think will bring us back to that inner state of peace. We learn to release the things that have that tendency to shut down our heart. Releasing, shifting those false beliefs, those things that block us from fully experiencing life is central to the work. It's central to the work that we each are here to do. You know, that's one of the key components that the quantum living process, I've just finished this class with another group of 7 wonderful individuals who have now found another tool that helps them identify and release those old limiting beliefs that we often take on, and they stay with us from childhood. A good place where each of us can start is with the things that we have absolutely no control over. How many of you still work hard at trying to control the things that you, at least intellectually, know you have absolutely no control over? Take the weather, for example. How often and how much energy do we put into complaining, lamenting, wishing, trying to, and being in that state of upset because of the weather? It's like, well, I've got plans and the weather's not cooperating. It was so interesting. The woman who does my hair a couple weeks ago had a week planned at the beach. You know, her and her family, she had family coming in from all over the U.S. They had invested a lot of money and had this week's vacation planned out. And she was doing my hair, leaving the next day. And I said, oh, are you really excited about, your beach vacation? It's finally here. And she's like, it's supposed to rain all week long. It's just going to be horrible. I'm like, well, even if it's raining, you're going to be on vacation with a beautiful environment with all of, and I mean, she spent an hour just she hadn't even gotten there yet. And she was upset. Now, I will tell you that when she got back, I texted her. I've known her for, 35 years. I said, oh, hope you had a good, vacation. She said it was a blast. So, sometimes we spend all this energy and we live in this state of inner turmoil about things that we have absolutely no control. The weather has nothing to do with you. How you think and feel and speak about the weather has everything to do with you. And yet, oftentimes, it's those kinds of things that we allow to disturb our inner peace. The world in front of you is unfolding in accordance to the energetic influences going back billions of years. I want you to hear that. We understand the law of mind action, but the world that we're experiencing right now, the influences have been evolving for billions of years. We certainly add to that continued evolvement, but we have no control over how it's going to show up today. In contrast, we walk through our daily life making up how it's supposed to be based on the impressions of our short past. We've decided, based on our small experience on this planet over its billions years that it has evolved, how it should look and feel. Sometimes the way to an open heart is through perspective. So this morning, I want to invite you to watch this video and see if this can't help open your heart just a little bit more than where it is this morning.
Just like the very first moment.
When time and space exploded into being.
My life, just as it is right now, is a perfect expression of divine love.
Every dark night, every sunrise, every backstep, every happiness.
Like the stars, the moon, the earth, the trees,
the oceans,
The creatures and all human beings, past, present, and future.
everything visible without exception,
Everything visible, without exception, is the outpouring of God.
the first cries of a newborn,
Skyscrapers at night, the memory of a kiss.
Blooming wildflowers after a forest fire.
a cup of coffee, rice and beans,
The quiet hum of a washing machine.
Dancing barefoot.
Patterns on the wings of butterflies.
The gifts of healing passed down from my ancestors.
the sound of a drum in the hands that strike it.
In all of creation, there is a unifying heartbeat.
One word for it is Christ.
One word for it is Christ.
One word for it is Christ.
It includes everyone. It excludes no one.
No one.
Christ is not Jesus' last name, but the blueprint for all of reality.
For the Big Bang and everything after.
Christ is wherever ordinary matter and spirit meet.
Christ is wherever the divine unites with the human.
Jesus broke bread and said, "This is my body." He lifted a cup and said, "This is my blood."
God loves things by becoming them.
By taking on physicality, flesh, tears, blood.
The body of Christ is not somewhere out there. It's in you. It's in me.
It's in me. It's in me.
It's in me.
It's in me.
It's in me.
Here and now.
Christ in the high school student afraid to go back to school.
Christ in the heart of a woman marching for change.
Christ in the gay couple searching for a church.
Christ in the inmate alone in herself.
Christ in the immigrant family waiting under a blue tarp. Christ in the soldier a long way from home.
Christ in the one who hears voices diagnosed with mental illness. Christ in the single mother-to-be.
Christ in the black father teaching his young son about race.
Christ in whatever holds quarks together.
To be a Christian
To be a Christian.
To be one with Christ.
To be a Christian is to see Christ in everything. In everything.
In everything.
Some of you may remember that was from our Universal Christ series, and yet it seems to be the same message that is calling us today through this different lens of living untethered. Instead of comparing the moment against your preferences, or in many cases, your demands, remember that everything visible, everything created, even those things that are uncomfortable or painful, is the outpouring of God, is the outpouring of love, because the energy of the Christ is the very pattern of all of life. It's challenging sometimes to see it in the midst of what appears to us to be the antithesis of that. But yet, it's in the very pattern, the very energy, and that can only be seen when our heart is fully open. This expanded perspective, and sometimes we have to get out of our own myopic experience of life and step back and open our awareness to the beauty and the good that is unfolding, generates that feeling of gratitude. And gratitude is the quickest way that we can get our heart to open even wider. If we can do this with the weather, with the traffic, the author calls this the low-hanging fruit, you know. Let's start by the stuff that is a minor irritant and that we know we don't have any control over anyway, other than how we show up for it. If we can begin to do it in those places, we can expand and grow our heart spiritually every day. Jesus described this open-heartedness in this way. He said, "If anyone thirsts, let him come to me and drink. Rivers of the living water will brim and spill out of the depths of anyone who believes in me," who believes and is aware of that energy of love that we have been created from. And the more that we can live from this state of an open heart, we'll discover, as Jesus described, rivers of love that pour forth. We don't have to do anything other than just open the path for them to flow. They're always there. The challenge is when our heart is shut down, the river's trying to flow, but it has to maneuver and navigate through all these boulders that we've put in its way, and sometimes it can go down to just a little trickle based on how much we have impeded its flow. Think about this. Think about, and maybe a few of you might be in that beautiful state when you first fell in love. And you had more energy, at least this is my experience, I'm assuming it's somewhat universal, than you knew what to do with. You could stay up all night long and talk with that person and get up the next day and be in a great mood and have lots of energy to get through the day, and that would continue on for at least some period of time. It's hard to keep it open based on somebody else's love for you, because sooner or later, their day is going to come where they're going to say something or do something, and that flow will get impeded. And yet we know it's there. That's what it allows us to experience in its fullness when we have those times when nothing bothers us. You know, when you're in that state, you could be in traffic and you go, "Oh, it's okay. I'm in love." You know, when the weather's bad, you go, "Oh, that's okay, because that just means my love and I will stay indoors." You know, it doesn't matter what plans we had. Nothing seems to be able to shut the heart down, at least for that blissful period of time, like it might have in the past. It's when the thoughts and emotions and experiences of our past are not impeding this flow of energy of our heart that we can really experience the fullness of God's love flowing through us and as us. That we can really be able to get an inkling of the vastness and the unending love from which we've been created. This river loves for the sake of loving. And while it might be open because of this beautiful experience we're having with this person, when we can fully be in it, especially the upper chambers, which they call the spiritual heart, that flow happens regardless of what's happening around us. It loves, it flows simply for the sake of loving and flowing. It doesn't need anything to inform it to open or to close. It's always moving through us. Another really good way of practicing keeping our hearts open is something called loving kindness and the loving kindness meditation. And I know we've done it here, but unless you do it regularly, you can have that experience. And I just want to remind you that this is one of the ways that we can experience more and more openness from our heart. And that's what we're going to do today as we move into our time of meditation. I would invite you just to kind of, get comfortable. If you got your legs crossed, maybe uncross them. Pay attention in this moment to your posture. Are your shoulders back? And then just kind of let them relax. So this opens up physically the flow of our heart. You might want to close your eyes or just focus on some point in the room. And then begin to place your attention in your heart space, that place that's in the center of your chest, of your physical being. And in this sacred space, all of the love that's ever flowed in the billions and billions of years that this creation has been unfolding is present in this sacred chamber within you right now. And I invite you to bring someone into this space that you deeply love and appreciate. It could be a person. It could be a person that's here on the physical planet or is now in spirit. Could be a beloved pet, or perhaps just a beautiful space in nature that you feel that sense of love and appreciation. And as that person stands with you in the center of your heart, silently say to them, may you be happy. May you be safe. May you be healthy, peaceful, and loving. May you give and receive appreciation and love today. And then take a deep breath with me and focus your attention on yourself. Sometimes we are the hardest, not on others, but on ourselves. And with this expanded, open heart, say to yourself, may you be happy. May you be safe. May you be healthy, peaceful, and loving. May you give and receive appreciation and love today. And into this sacred space, see if you can't allow someone that you've had difficulty with, who perhaps has caused you hurt or pain, who you struggle with seeing that they are also God's beloved child, and bring them into this space. And in this stream, this flow of God's love, look at them and see if you can't also speak these words. May you be happy. May you be safe. May you be peaceful and healthy and loving. May you give and receive appreciation and love this day. And for just a moment, just bask in this love as it flows through every part of your body. And when you're ready, you can begin to bring your attention back to this time and space. Once again, noticing your shoulders, and if somehow they've moved forward, just let them go back and relax. Feeling and being aware of your body and the sounds in the room. And then whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. Take a deep breath with me. Ooh, let that energize you now. I know sometimes it can calm you down, but this flow of love can also be that energetic force that really enlivens you to do what's yours to do. You know, this practice of compassion, when we practice it with this loving kindness given not only to those we love and appreciate, but to ourselves that we don't always love and appreciate, to others that we may be struggling with. When we practice it regularly and often, it can begin to help dissolve the blockages that keep our heart closed. I love a story that Mary Mann Morrissey told once about a young man who came to her for counseling. And a few years before, she had performed the wedding ceremony for him and his then fiance, and she hadn't really seen him since. So she set up a time to meet with him, and when he came in, he just looked horrible. He looked depressed. This is how the posture often is when we're feeling the weight of the world on our shoulders. And as she began to talk to him, he shared with her that he had recently found out that his wife and his best friend were having an affair. In fact, this affair had been ongoing almost since the time when they first got married. And as we can imagine, his heart was pretty blocked with anger and with feeling like he had been, what's the word? Betrayed, thank you. Sorry, it happens. And so after she talked with him for a while, she said, okay, I want to give you a practice to do. And it was a loving kindness kind of practice to do. She said, you can start it out however you want, but then I want you to bring, and a lot of his anger at that moment was directed at his best friend, but I'm sure there was plenty for his now soon-to-be ex-wife too. And she said, I want you to bring them into mind and into heart and say, may you be well, may you be happy, may you be safe, may you find love. So a couple weeks went by and he came back, and she could just tell by the way he looked. You know, he was standing up straighter again. He just had an energy about him that said something had shifted. And so he begins to share with her. He said, well, I'm glad you told me I could start it anyway, because I was having a really difficult time doing this practice. So he started, and he would say, well, if you don't get hit by a train, may you be loved, may you be happy, may you be peaceful. If a bus doesn't come along and flatten you, may you be well, may you be healthy, may you be. And he said, as I did this, and I did it several times a day, he said, it was amazing. Something began to shift. He said, you know, this guy had been my best friend since childhood, and I do love him, and I do want him to be happy, and I do want him to have, you know, that loving relationship. And if it happens to be, you know, with my wife, then I wish them great happiness. And, you know, he kind of got to the same place with his wife. I did. I cared about her. We spent many years together, and I do want her to be happy, and I do want her to have a wonderful, peaceful life. And he was able to let those blockages slowly dissolve with this practice. Eventually, she tells that he did find a woman that he had a beautiful relationship with, that she remarried, and unfortunately his best friend and his wife did not make a long-term go of it. but he had let it all go. You know, the things blocking your heart, whatever they may be, and we all have our own unique blueprint of things that we have taken on and decided that's painful, that's dangerous, I'm going to shove that far away and hope it never shows up again. Whatever it is keeping us from experiencing the fullness of God. It is keeping us from discovering the beautiful gift that this life brings to each of us. What would it look like if the same efforts that you put into your relationships or your career or your family or those things that you are working towards acquiring, you take that same energy, or at least a portion of that energy, and learn to free and release your own blockages? What if that became the priority of your life? You free yourself so that you can be more fully present in those relationships, in that career, in wherever it is that the heart is wanting you to go and experience. It allows you to wholeheartedly participate in life. Living untethered allows us to love and to appreciate our past and be alive in our present, to fully embrace it, to thank it for what it is teaching us, to let go of any judgments that there was something wrong with it or us. Your past is uniquely yours, and it is sacred. It is beautiful. Nobody else has ever had it. Your unique life, and nobody else ever will. So our invitation this week is to practice. I'm going to encourage you to practice this loving kindness meditation. You can use whatever words you want. The words are not really what are most important. What's most important is allowing both those that you love and appreciate and yourself and those that are challenging to you into your heart. Especially as we navigate this and do it imperfectly, that compassion for ourselves. And to notice those moments that we are being disturbed by something that we have absolutely no control over. So this is practice number 2. When you find yourself complaining about something that you know you have absolutely no control over, at least in the moment in the big picture. Some of this we might have control over as we evolve over hundreds and millions of years, and we can do our part. But in this moment, with the way life is right now, and when you notice that, because all you have to do is notice it, to give thanks for this opportunity to shift your perspective, to see it as an opportunity of something that is ready to be dissolved, to see it as being okay to be in our own discomfort. Sometimes discomfort is here to serve us. And I want to give you one more simple practice before I close. To set your intention to notice every hour, if you can, or as often as you can, your posture. Just pay attention to your posture. Because what I've noticed for me is when my heart is closed or more closed, I tend to get, the shoulders tend to come forward. You know, it's almost this protective thing. You can see it. So just by simply noticing and then allowing your shoulders to go back and be relaxed down has the capacity. It reminds you, I'm here to live with an open heart. And if you will give these practices as much or more attention as you give your thoughts, your emotions, your bodily sensations, you will begin to discover the you that's in there, that unique expression of God. And that you can indeed make a positive difference. That you is called here to bring the love of God into our world. Bless you as you open your heart in greater and greater ways. Well, it is our opportunity now to share of our financial good with this community. We continue to just be grateful for all of the ways in which we receive our good, and we would just ask that you continue to hold in prayer with us, that our Hughes Road Montessori School is attracting the perfect parents. We've got some good director lead teachers now, and now all we need is the kids and the parents to round out this new adventure. So just know with us that they all continue to flow into, and they will be infinitely blessed by having their child here in our Montessori school. So let us take these gifts and tithes that we offer today, or the energy of them if we give through the electronic giving program, into our hands and hearts and bless them together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, Father, Mother God. As we go into this day, seeking ways to open our heart wider and wider and wider to let God's love flow through it, we go knowing our prayer for protection together. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. See how much energy you got when you have an open heart? Woo! Have a beautiful day, everyone.